All right, we're back, guys, and trying to watch a tiny bit of the football game right now, and U.S. is still in it. God, that goalie is a badass.
Clinging on, bro.
Howard
Clinging
is
on.
amazing. All right, let's talk about Clauf. Obviously, some news. For once, like the Clauf news was just completely buried by all this Reddit stuff. But Richard, you did write an article about basically Clauf dissolving, and let me see if I can link the article to everybody here.
How did you beat Joe Edwards to this, though, man? That's what I got to know.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a former Clauf employee, so I don't know how you have.
I know. Tortellini did say that, didn't he?
No.
And his sources are very good. He's an incredible journalist. It amazes me really why he doesn't have more presence in the scene, because he's always just on the money with everything he says. But yes,
he's batting 100, man.
Yeah,
or 1,000 rather. Is that how baseball works?
I don't even know. You're talking to a limey fuck, right? But anyway, yeah. So look, I definitely think this section doesn't need to be long. So all the people who are telling me to kill myself, you can rest easy. We'll wrap this up real quick. So Clauf, yeah, the people behind ESGN, they filed for insolvency. I think that's not a fucking surprise. I think we all saw that coming a mile off. Even though they'd said we're going to continue. I mean, it's almost as if every time I leaked a story about them, they just wanted to spite the story I was telling, because they just made themselves look like idiots. And here's what I will say. Here's what I do know, which I didn't report upon, because getting a source to go on the record for this would be very difficult. But just so you guys know, I know that the Sapinda group, my good friends and colleagues, are absolutely adamant, actually, about paying this outstanding money to everybody. They're going to make funds available so people get their money. That is the unofficial party line right now. They've held numerous meetings about it. Sapinda are really aggrieved at the fact that the people they've put in charge of, well, not put in charge, but rather the people they've given venture capital to, have fucked up this bad that they're having to bail them out just to meet the money that was promised to employees, while, you know, booking a hotel at the Waldorf Astoria and hiring chartered flights was well within their capabilities. So I don't think this necessarily has a tragic ending as such. I think the people who've got money outstanding have already had a terrible time. I think they can still get that money back. The one issue is, in German law, what they now need to do is they need to file the requisite paperwork with the employment agency and, you know, name the insolvency number and stuff. And in Germany, I think, if this is right, someone correct me if it's wrong, employees are given precedent over, you know, creditors and people that are owed money from the business. So
that's good. That's good.
All they've got to
do,
yeah, all they've got to do is produce their contract.
Oh, that's right. That's
right.
Oh,
right now, as we remember from the initial report by Mr. Joe Interzone Edwards, who is, again, I
gotta have
agree
him on
with,
here one of these days.
No, I agree with the Reddit comments that were made in that post saying this guy could teach Richard Lewis a thing or two about how to write. I am completely enthralled to him, and I wish he would step forward. But anyway, according to those reports, the HR department in that business did not provide paperwork for a large bulk of the employees. So how they prove their employment, I don't know. And to all the people out there who like to do the you know, super cool thing of going, who worked without a contract? Well, you know, I don't. When you're asking and you're asking and you're asking, and HR are going, I don't know how to work a printer. I don't know. You know, that was a Robert De Niro impression, actually. There, I apologize. I don't know. But anyway, when yeah, no, well, okay, all right. You're really good at doing impersonations.
Hey, that's why I don't do them.
You impersonated 40 people at once, so you're the best impersonator here.
Oh,
you
man.
asshole. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, touche, motherfucker. Okay, so anyway, whether they can produce the paperwork and get their money is another question. Hopefully it won't come to such, you know, rhetoric and blah, 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 and they can get paid. But look, Clauf are under. That's one down. You know, long may it continue.
Well, I just remember them announcing that they were going to pay everybody by June 30th. And so funny that your article comes out on June 30th instead, and now it's going to be another who knows how long before they get it and have to fill out all that stuff and everything that you're saying there. Just more hurdles and hoops for them to jump through.
Well, look, I think, yeah, it sucks. It absolutely sucks for everybody except Tortellini, who's owed money. I think it absolutely sucks for them. People that made a meaningful contribution to esports and not that, piece of shit hack. But I genuinely feel sorry. I talked to a lot of people when I was covering this story, which Joe beat me to. And that was,
He's better than you.
I know, because he's quicker, he's younger, he's sleeker. He's like the $6 million esports journalist. How do I compete with that? So he didn't reveal some things, and I think one of those things that I certainly talked to a lot of people who are literally selling household appliances to make ends meet, and I think that's awful. Really upsetting for the people that have to do that. And I talked to a lot of people on the production team who literally moved to Germany specifically for this job and had signed 12-month leases. There's no going back. They're out there now. Some people even uprooted their families. So the idea of them having to jump through extra hoops to get their money, yes, it is repugnant. I absolutely do not, support that. But what I will say is, at least there's a clear legal recourse for these people. And often the case in esports, it's like, Simon Boudreau of Quantic, and it's like, Shazam, now you see me, now you know. Sorry, guys, got cancer. Sorry. And he just fades into the distance, and you don't get paid $40,000 that you're owed.
Keep in mind that even if there is clear legal recourse, they don't get paid if there are no assets left to pay them with. So if the group is genuinely broke and they can't liquidate anything, it doesn't mean the money is going to come from nowhere. They will not get paid.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's one of the reasons why these companies do file for bankruptcy. But if NASL can pay out their employees.
How much? Look at the studio. How much is all that shit in the studio? It's got to pay for the
moral of the story here is Take or Total Biscuit or Red Eye or Boss from DreamHack. If you guys are watching, you guys need to keep your fucking eyes open and wait for that ESGN liquidation auction. See if you can pick yourself up a $10,000 camera for $15.
The truck, man.
Do you want to know what the worst thing about all of this is? Right, there was a significant number, and by that I mean obviously more than one or two, but certainly no more than 5. There was a significant number of people who'd worked for NASL and ended up at ESGN, and it's like they've had these 2 auction insolvency nightmares happen to them twice in a row. Who the fuck employs them again? It's like, if I don't know, you're going out with a woman and her last 2 husbands have died. She's the Black Widow. You're kind of a little bit suspicious about it. I wouldn't want to hire those guys. I honestly think... I fear for them most of all because they're obviously bad fucking luck. So yeah, it really sucks for them. But yeah, there probably will be an insolvency auction. And I wouldn't buy a casting couch from a German company, put it that way.
You could buy the wheel. How much do you think the wheel's going for?
I bet the wheel cost about $15 to make, so I bet they would give you money to take it.
I reckon it got redonated.
Does it come with the girls?
Yeah.
Does it come with the girls? That's the important.
I reckon that wheel got sent back to whatever fucking kindergarten made it at the last minute for them. Like they just paid some German teachers. Special project today. Okay, what we're gonna do instead of learning essential things is, we're gonna make this wheel and we're gonna make Frodan spin it. God bless Frodan. Hey, can we
Frodan's doing okay. He's doing
Dan's
okay.
fine. Dan will be fine. I casted with Dan this past week.
Yeah, but God bless him though.
Yeah.
Seriously, what a great guy. Love that guy.
He is. He is a great guy. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about ESL One.
Can I just pause you for a second?
Okay, sure.
How fucking crazy is it that the Clauf segment of this show that we finally
I know, right?
And it's like not even a 10-minute segment. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay,
I mean, we all knew. We all
I know,
knew, which is the
but it is
part.
fucking crazy, right?
It is crazy.
Like,
it would headline a show.
How many
in the past.
millions down the shitter? That's the thing that blows my mind. Is like we've all had real budgets at some point in time that are like these are like real quantities of money that sort of make sense and oftentimes are maybe a little less than you want. And you've got to sort of operate within these parameters. These guys were just shitting money and then just setting it on fire, man. Like it's so insane. It's just so insane. And we're in the golden years of esports, allegedly, and
well, the second dawn, I believe, is what people were calling it. And Yeah, it's not quite living up to that. But look, if you spend money like a fucking idiot, you're gonna end up
Yeah.
broke.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
I mean
I
that's
don't think
it's-
this is anything special, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
there are a lot of organizations doing well, and and this is just not specifically unique to esports, but there are people that come into the market and think they can, dive in, um, with a new grandiose idea and then fail. But that's that's everywhere.
Yeah, that
Um,
happened, like you said.
yeah.
that doesn't take away from the fact that there's a ton of organizations doing really incredible things, and I think overall esports is in a better position than it's been in.
Yeah,
forever.
I agree with that. Yeah, I do agree with that, James. You're absolutely right. I think I think there is still going to be that culture of doing it the old way, which is to get a big bunch of cash and just shit it up against the wall, see what sticks. And we're seeing those businesses fail, and people like yourself that have turned real big corners. I mean, let's not forget where ESL was, 2.5 years ago.
Sure.
Turned real
Yeah.
big corners and made good on their potential, and are now expanding into vital markets that do need genuine companies that can do esports events right. I think you're absolutely right. If you do it small, sustainable,
Yep.
smart, you can be absolutely fine. The three S's.
Most of the companies that weathered the storm, too, I've noticed this year are staffing up, right? So ESL tends to be staffing up. I mean, DreamHack hired Adabisi earlier this year. Evil Geniuses has a manager for every single division they have now, which, Jesus Christ, that must be heavenly. I think the folks that have figured it out and managed to make it through those lean years are doing really well. But the folks that sort of run out on stage with their dicks out are finding themselves dickless here at the end of the day.
All right, let's talk. Yeah, so talking about obviously companies doing good things, and ESL One was this past weekend, and that's the main reason I wanted to have James on the show, just to talk about the event. And I watched maybe a couple hours of it. I was having a Cast of Hearthstone event, so I couldn't catch the whole thing. But what I saw of it, just with Paul and just the whole panel, and then with the background of the stadium, and just seeing how many people were there, and then just watching some of the games, it seemed like the production was quite good, and it seemed to be a pretty big success. So James, can you tell us, I guess, your overall thoughts on the event?
Yeah, I mean, so we've been working on it for quite a while, obviously, and it was sort of brand new. I mean, we've done big events before. Obviously, Katowice is huge, but this was specifically new because of the fact that it's one game. It's a brand new product, which matters a lot. Right? It's not like we had a huge established history to go on to tell people, hey, this is why this event is going to be amazing. It was a little bit more of, trust us, this is going to be really good. Overall, we were super happy with the results. I mean, there were things we need to fix for next time, and we've been collecting a ton of feedback, and from everyone, from fans that attended. We heard loud and clear, things that they wanted to fix from teams, and even our own internal production stuff that we want to fix in the next one. But that's what we knew coming in, was that we're going to try a bunch of new things here. Some of them are going to be great. Some of them are going to be mistakes, and we're going to have to change. But I mean, overall, our goal was create a really amazing fan experience for everybody coming here, and then roll with that. And I think we hit that. So yeah, we're happy.
I just remembered that we're supposed to pull Bruno in on this call. So
Yeah, pull in Bruno.
Yeah,
See,
well, it's the
While you
Reddit
pull him in,
section.
I can-
Sorry, the Dota section. So
yeah.
I'm out, right?
Yeah, actually, Richard has to
Yeah.
go. He's going to be checking
We'll
out to
miss you.
Portugal, so he's going to have to get going.
Earned a holiday, motherfuckers. So I'll do my
Finally.
shoutouts now. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's been great to do an Unfiltered. Chris, you're a dirty little fucker, man. Serious. And I find it hilarious
I know.
that of all the people to get scandalized. Like, I was expecting we'd have another Destiny scandal before you, put it that way. And, like, just something. Like, what's he done today? But no, it hasn't happened. You fucked up good and proper. I love you for that more than anything. Cody, you're wicked at what you do, man. Seriously, when I die, which will probably be after this holiday, you are the Richard Lewis. Like, that's it. You are my incarnation. I'm never gonna have kids because my junk doesn't work. So it's just up to you, Steven.
Wait, is that true?
No, I don't know.
Are you really infertile? Oh.
I'm just saying it to make Reddit people
Wow.
happy. But let them believe. Let them believe. I've got 1.5 testicles actually, because one of them got stamped in half during a rugby game. And that's a
God.
yeah, it was really bad. I was kind of paralyzed. Apparently, when your balls get burst,
It affects your nervous system.
yeah. Who knew, right? So. Yeah, that was really bad. That happened to me as a kid. So I got a kid, like 14, 15, junior rugby. So I got some pretty horrific scars on my ball sack. Happy to show them to anyone who comes to an event. Maybe I can do a Destiny and I can get
Ball
some
pic?
malicious girlfriend to tweet them for me.
I don't think we have ball pics anywhere. Yeah.
Well, why not, right? Let's go. I'm going to get 40 alts to upload my ball sack to Reddit.
Yeah, just be sure not to submit it yourself, Richard.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I might get banned, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, look, man, it's been great. Steven, always a great guy. You're the best person to play devil's advocate. You've got a keen mind, and I love debating with you, even when people are like, "Oh my God, Destiny and Reddit hate each other. Richard hates each other." That's not true. We obviously disagree a little bit about Reddit, but that's cool. James, ESL One. I don't love Dota, and I wish I was sticking around for this segment. I did watch little bits of it. It sounded like you guys had a great event. I think Paul did really well. I'm really sad I'm not going to be on air with Bruno. I think he's amazing.
Bruno was legit.
Yeah, like straight up.
Legit.
But me leaving has nothing to do with my secret love of Dota. It's just that there's a taxi coming for me. So enjoy the rest of the show, guys. Thanks for indulging me as always, and I will see you next week, most likely, if I live.
All right.
All right, well,
Good
cheers,
luck,
See ya.
man.
Yeah, have fun,
Do
buddy.
your best. Do your
What was that? What were you going to say? Do your best.
Yeah,
to die.
it only gets grimmer from here, man. This is the best thing you can do is just die.
Imagine the On Gamers article. You might save them.
Maybe that's what it takes.
Oh,
I don't know.
man.
Maybe they'll
Joe
maybe they'll
Interzone
just
would write the obit, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe
Oh, man.
he would know a lot about me.
Yeah,
I think he's probably best positioned. But yeah, anyway,
Oh,
it's been a
man.
blast. I hope the guys out there enjoyed the show. Laters, catch you.
All right, later. I gotta drop him off here.
So while we're waiting for Bruno, I'll chime in. I gave James in confidence. I'm comfortable sharing this number. 9.2 out of 10. I was actually really
I
surprised.
saw you, Bruno. Hey, Bruno. Just me.
There, yeah, just sifting.
Oh yeah. I mean Jesus Christ, Bruno. The biggest issues. The schedule
So
change day
sucks.
1 and then losing internet on day 2 in the middle of that alliance match. But otherwise, I thought it was really good. As bad as the traffic looked going into TI earlier this year, I was actually really surprised with the turnout, which was actually insane. And yeah, otherwise, I thought it was just a fantastic event. I thought the caster desk was awesome. I thought, especially some of those moving shots that I talked to you about on the caster desk were really good. I'm trying to think if I have any other weird, nitty-gritty complaints I can throw in your face, James, while I have you here.
That's okay.
None are really chiming in. Wardrobe. I think the level of wardrobe varied a little bit, but that's like that's a super egghead thing to do.
That's
So-
Bruno's area.
Well, I mean, the level of button-ups varied. So Bruno always kills it with his Bruno level suits, right? And then you had some folks in button-ups and ties, and then there were some folks in button-ups that looked like they've been through the wash like 1,000 times and were a little faded. But that's if we're gonna get to that nitty-gritty, it's just fucking ridiculous. 9.2 out of 10. I was really
This
impressed.
is with Fashion Police Esports. What is this, man?
Dude, I think it matters. It matters.
It does
James,
matter. It
it
actually
matters.
really does matter.
I agree
It
with the
actually
gentleman,
does.
by the way.
Can we talk about something that's very relevant to this conversation?
Sure.
Yeah.
I recently was donated the money by a very lovely viewer to get this coat because I really want to get it. Do you think this is a terrible idea, or do you think this is a good idea? I'm ready to order it tonight.
What? A coat? Did you link this to everybody?
Yeah, it's a long cotton twill trench coat.
Holy
It's
Here.
slow loading.
Does people see this link? Let me make sure.
I
yeah,
might
you
go
just
to
listed it.
Atlanta. Like, if I get this coat, I'll go to Atlanta just so I can wear this around. I don't give a fuck if it's hot as fuck.
It's a really good code.
Are you gonna wear it with
Thank
the white?
you. There you go. I'll
Are you gonna
probably
wear
put
with your
something on
style?
different. I'll probably put
Is that a
something
woman's
different.
coat? No, okay.
in the men's section, dog.
I think those coats are great.
Jesus.
Looks more like a woman's coat than it does a guy's coat.
There's a guy modeling it, Chan, man.
I'm just saying.
No,
I'm just
shut
saying.
up, Chan, man. You don't know shit.
Yeah,
I'm
just like
just
fuck,
saying.
fuck, Chan, man.
I think it's a sick coat. I imagine it. I mean, like you have. I'm trying to remember the last time I saw you. You wear. You don't wear like Slims, man. You wear like sort of normal human being pants.
Well,
And
if
I feel like
if I have to lose 100 pounds to wear this coat, I like this color blue.
you wouldn't. Well, look, you weighed like 120 pounds already, so you wouldn't need to lose any weight. But you would need to not wear like the Lee pipes that I think I've seen you like strolling around in for the last 2 years, man.
I'll get a
Lee
different pants
pipes.
and shirt.
Wow.
I just need to make sure the coat looks good. You think it looks good, right?
Yeah, I think the coat looks sick.
All right, there we go. That's all I needed. All right, that's my semi-relevant contribution to this. Carry on.
Okay, awesome.
Nice.
Well, holy fuck.
Nice. All right, getting back to ESL One. So obviously, Bruno, you were on the panel too.
Yep.
So overall, what do you think of the event? Any highlights for you?
It was a really fun event to make, to be part of. I mean, it was kind of different to me because I'm kind of used to be doing the events, like being on camera and also running around behind, like with DreamHack, and also a little bit at TI when we do stuff with Valve. So it was nice for a change to just like be there and do the helping Red Eye host and just do the analyst panel thing. The fans were super grateful to have an event like that in Europe. I think you were talking about how scary it was to do this so close to TI, which, to be honest, it was a little scary. But with like such a big geographic difference between one place to another, I think lots of people that wouldn't have been able to go to TI were able to go here, and I think they got their money's worth. They were ecstatic to be able to see not only the European players that they might sometimes see at DreamHack, but also the Chinese players from IG and VT Gaming. In the terms of the teams, it was interesting because you talked to them, and of course they were like really interested in winning the event, but you already saw that some of them were like, well, we'll try this out. Like, we will not bring any new strats. We will just like play it safe because $10 million on the line just like in a couple of weeks, it makes everybody feel scary. But yeah, other than that, the organization of the event like was my first time working with most of the ESL people. Everything went super fine. There were minor complaints from people like, we want more food, or we want to be able to smoke, or stuff like that. That normally happen on any of the events, but I think it was pretty good.
Okay. James, any particular challenges of having the event at a stadium versus, more of a conference hall type of setting or something indoor?
Yeah, it's a massive load of challenges we had, because normally when we do an event, the way all of most of the esports companies work is that you work with different vendors. So you hire a company for lighting, you hire a company for audio, this sort of thing. Because we were doing this partnership with the stadium, a lot of those partnerships were already set up. So it wasn't necessarily our guys. So you go through a different process, and there's miscommunication sometimes, and you got to solve problems. And I mean, live events in general, and if you talk to any of the DreamHack guys, they'll tell you the same thing. Is like you just know you will have problems going in, and you doing a good job is hiding as many of those problems to the fans and the viewers watching it as possible, and to try and show as seamless a show as possible. And I mean, we had a few problems that obviously were visible, like with the power in the internet that went out a couple times, but there's usually way more stuff going on in the control room that we're trying to solve, and tournament schedule wise or production wise. So usually I gauge our success based on how well we're able to target problems and then solve them in a smart way that keep us on course. So I was happy with it overall.
The lighting was really impressive in a space that big, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The what, sorry?
Lighting.
The lighting in particular was something I thought you guys were gonna really have an issue with, and you didn't.
I mean, we tried to be smart about it, and there was obviously, lighting is actually one of the most expensive parts of production. And to do it right and to do it smart, you got to get really good people. But yeah, we did luck out a little bit. It was a little bit different for us. We actually knew we weren't going to be able to do some of the stuff we wanted as far as like lasers and huge big strobes and that because natural daylight just kind of kills it. It's a very different experience than being in a a dark, fully closed roof venue or convention center or a hall or something. So it was new for us. Yeah, I think we were happy though. Once you hit nighttime, that thing really shines. So that was a cool part of
Yeah, it was absolutely
for us.
way more impressive when the night came down. At the day, it was, don't get me wrong, just like any other stadium. But when it gets dark and you just start seeing other people uh, illuminated by the light, or just like in the moments where the games are on, the light dims down, you just see the cell phones or the people moving and cheering. It creates a completely different atmosphere that I think everyone sitting everywhere could see, and it felt very magical.
I really dug night, but I actually was really into the natural light actually because it felt like a genuine sports broadcast. Oh, James, you know this. It was like the analyst desk during the day felt sort of like college game day.
Football, yeah, football.
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
that was really intentional.
Yeah.
That and
So
I'm
it felt
really
like a
glad
sports
you said
broadcast.
that. I'm so happy you say that because that was really the intention. I'd been thinking a lot about the way we broadcast in general ESL events, and we sort of had a unique opportunity with this because, when we're building this, I don't report to anybody. When I do WCS or I'm doing BlizzCon, I have to talk to Blizzard, and I get their input, and we sort of meet a happy medium. But with this, it's just I can sort of do whatever I want. And so I talked to Paul about this idea I had of pushing us a little bit more towards sort of a Sky Sports or an NFL game day or and having a clearer separation of what was going on in the broadcast versus what was going on in the stadium. And it's a lot of technical stuff that people don't notice and I don't want to notice. But it's sort of like we layer that all together, and hopefully the end product that viewers see at home is something a little more in line with the sports broadcast. So there's stuff we still want to change and fix, and I think we can do better on. But as a first run of the stuff we think could work, we were really happy with the outcome.
So one of the risks of doing an esports event, outside, right, is weather. What was the precaution for if it started to rain or what? Does the stadium actually have a cover?
So it actually did. It actually did start to rain.
Did it? I missed that.
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually did rain, and we actually had a power outage on during Fnatic's game that killed their PCs for about 20 minutes. A breaker blew because I think someone had screwed up on the electrical team side and hadn't covered something, so water got in and they had to go and replace some parts. So that delayed us a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, it does rain, but that stadium handles it. It's fully closed off on the roof. It's like translucent, the material that covers the roof, so the light still does come through.
Oh, okay.
It's just the rain doesn't.
Oh.
In all fairness, it did get a little bit chilly.
The entire time. Oh yeah, that was weird. At some point, it just got really cold all of a sudden, and I think they paused the game so that they could put hoodies on because it just it suddenly just got super cold. I don't know, probably 3/4 of the way through the day. But I mean, that was part of the experience that we wanted to do, right? Because we're so used to these indoor venues with certain formats, and we just wanted to sort of mix stuff up, and it's not when you think of esports event, you don't think of something outside. When you think of computers, you don't think of something outside. So.
Yeah, I think that's
we
really
were in a
cool.
lucky position to be able to do it, and I think it was pretty cool. The crowd was insane, and having them, one of our major goals with it was to sort of create this fan experience too, where they could get enough access and give the players that experience, especially going to something like TI. And they sort of just ate it up. Like there's some really great photos that our team got of. There's a really nice one I like of PyCat throwing his hands up after he reversed a gank mid and he got first blood, and he just throws his hands up to the crowd to get them going. So this sort of stuff
Nice.
that's exactly what we wanted.
There was that awesome video of No Tail too. Well, from No Tail's perspective, that was really good. Let's cover. Channing, I'm going to take the reins, man.
Yeah, Let's do the games.
Well, before we go to the games too, got to give it a huge shout out to Paul. Paul,
yeah.
I was like, I like Paul. Want it to be known that I think you're a swell guy. Going into this, absolutely a variable. I had no idea, and he did a really good job of bringing everyone together. He did an AMA today that actually got a jillion upvotes on the Dota subreddit. Dota, not a very easy game. There's a lot of really weird mechanics that don't make sense to a lot of people. Also, broadcasting with new people for the first time is always problematic, and he did a really good job. So I was really impressed with him. Yeah. I'm trying to think if anything else, like in terms of broadcast, stands out before we sort of go into the games.
It was a pretty full panel. I mean, there was 5 of you guys, right?
Yeah, and you swapped one out.
Yeah, what'd you think of that? Like 5 versus the standard 4 that we see, or even 3 actually at TIs.
Personally, I enjoy the 4-man panel a little bit more.
Okay.
It's a personal choice. The ways you can do this, it's to put it in a way, ESL panel was really safe in the sense that you had a host that would throw in questions to one person, reply, go to another person, reply.
Yeah.
It's really good dynamic. It flows really nicely. No one like goes off rail too much. When you get a 4-man panel, you allow for a little bit more of conversations as well, which you don't require one person to be exclusively the host, because if you have one only host and then 3 other people, then you don't have enough different opinions. So personally, I enjoy the 4-panel more, but with the quality of people that were there, I was really, really impressed, positively impressed. Not only by Paul, of course. Everyone knew that Paul was awesome coming into this, but I think Sebastian fucking Mad was like really impressive.
Yeah.
The guy is like something that people sometimes forget is that to be in a panel, of course you have to know a lot, but you have to know how to speak properly and just convey your ideas very quickly and on point, and also be very presentable on camera. And I think he was really easy to look at and easy to listen to.
We got him very specifically because we wanted to add a little bit more flavor to the desk. He's an opinionated guy that's a little bit, controversial in the scene, and I mean we sort of wanted. I mean the way Paul and I put it was that we wanted him to be our Todd of Dota, a guy that's not quite, he's not going to sugarcoat. He's got his opinions,
That's a great way to put it.
And he adds a little bit of a unique flair to the desk. And I mean I think that one we were really confident in as a choice going in. That was sort of a no-brainer for us that this guy will add dynamics to that desk, which is exactly what we wanted.
Sebastian and Jacob did, I think, very well. I preferred the caster setup day too. That's one of the things that I do want to say. Toby was just literally losing his mind. He was just going, yeah.
I mean, he's the best caster in the world. It's as simple as that. The dude is like untouchable. As far as Dota fans, especially on Reddit and that, really value guys who know a ton about Dota. And that's obviously a very important point when you're doing day-to-day broadcasts and stuff. But I mean, the thing we look at on super large-scale events like this in BlizzCon is who are the guys that can control a crowd and deliver this in a way that someone like, say, Destiny
Right.
or Richard, who don't watch Dota, can appreciate. Have to watch the game to get hyped up when Toby goes wild.
Yeah, I can tell you, like, my first Dota 2 game that I watched was Toby, and he captivated me, like, right from the start, just his style of casting.
He's bananas,
It's
man.
crazy.
He's
I
bananas.
also want to give a huge shout out to Capitalist. I mean, he is a caster that's to speak fairly, he's very questioned by the community every time. Like, there's a post and there's like, well, Capitalist is really a good caster or not, and he always casts in close environments, like from a studio, and coming into a live event, he really drove the excitement. Like, I was genuinely surprised. Like, wow, this guy really can handle a crowd. And maybe I think he found his true real spot, which is like in front of people. He can hype, he can create like these moments. He was all over the top in a good way during the team fight. I couldn't have liked him more after seeing what he did.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of suspected that would be the case. I mean, my feeling going into this event was that he's probably the most underrated caster in the entire scene. And that the way he put it over is that we gave him a chance. But I mean, I'll be frank with you, like we're not giving anybody chances on that. The event is too big for us to be going in to give people chances. Like we picked him because we thought he'd be really good, and he's got. I mean, he's only been casting for like less than a year professionally.
Yep.
That still shows, though. That definitely shows. There were some moments where, like, the tempo where you could, it would, be 4/5 Capitalist and 1/5 Merlini on the first day.
Sure.
But I think his voice was fantastic. I think he did. He generated excitement very well. So.
Yeah, he's got very good
another
technical ability without any real training. So that's very important for us.
Yeah, that matters a ton. I'd love to see him at more of these events. I thought he did very well. And the last thing that I wanted to note was analysis desk during the draft was fucking out of the world. Needs to be industry standard for sure. Needs to. I think instead of 2 casters.
I mean, the main motivation we had for that is that when we do show planning, something we talk a ton about is sort of like emotional flow and emotional peaks, and we try and do things at certain moments when we think everybody's going to be hyped up, or do other things when people are not hyped up. Like we don't want to get everyone hyped and then do social media, and we, I'm kind of a fan, at least right now I'm a fan of this award style where we have these trophy moments almost immediately after the team has won. We tested that at BlizzCon and it worked nicely, and I wanted to do the same thing here, where we don't delay it, because I think what happens is once you've introduced all the sponsors and the hosts, and then you pull the guy out, everyone's kind of calmed down, and I just want to like drive hype, and get everybody going. So the thing that always happens is like, you throw to the commentators like Toby, and he goes fucking bananas, and it's time to go. It's go time. Let's go, go, go. Okay, into the draft. And it's 10 minutes of boringness. So that was our major motivation on it, and then of course there's the added benefit that you've got usually a pro gamer on the panel and a bunch of varying opinions, and you sort of get a lot of insight, and the casters are listening into it, so that they sort of have an idea of what everyone's been talking about, and then now we know it's go time, show on the road, and the casters pick it up and can go. Yeah. And I love that flow, and I'm glad that it worked well and that everyone responded so positively to it.
So do we want to move on to games real quick? Because we actually, I feel horrible for Destiny because we have Fnatic after this. I'm not letting you guys off the hook. I want to hear Bruno talk about the Fnatic Valve debacle that happened right before ESL One. So the games that stand out to me are I missed the Alliance game with Bulldog, which was horrible. I was at launch. Yeah, which is supposed to be out of this world.
Well, yeah.
The finals game. Yeah, no, I need to catch the VOD. And then the finals game won just because Universe's Faceless was just out of this world.
Yeah, but also Zai was amazing. There were a few things going on. Zai with the Sun King was also having the epicenters right into the Chronosphere. It was just like a great game from both of them. And the same thing happened. It was the 2 games that IG lost. And I want to just like state for the record that at the beginning of the tournament I said IG was going to win it all. And it's like I've been following the team for quite a while, and these guys are really, really amazing. They just came here, like, as I said before, some teams were like, well, we're practicing. Like, no, we want to win this tournament. They were just like straight into the point. And the only 2 games they lost were because there were 2 players from each team. One was Mouse and the other one was EG, which were playing out of their mind. There was a game with Mouse where Pycat and Misery had extraordinary games, especially Misery with his Bane. And yeah, then the EG game that you were mentioning as well. So yeah, I mean, that was the nice thing about the tournament. A lot of great, outstanding performances from people, and coming into TI or future ESLs or just like in general LAN events, I think something that Dota desperately needs, that StarCraft, for example, has very established and League has established because of how the LCS works, is personalities. So getting players to shine and then get their moments in the interviews or like in the stage actually makes this so much bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean there's certainly celebrities like Arteezy stands out as one.
Yeah.
Every team has their own, but the thing is like all of these teams have fantastic players. I think Universe did an interview maybe at the summit.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it came up that like you're just such an underrated player, and he's absolutely out of this world. PPT had that suicide on himself, which is actually fucking insane as well. That was so sick. There were a lot of big plays. What game stood out to you two?
I think the second Fnatic game was pretty amazing because it was the team that the storyline of Fnatic was really interesting, right? They come to this event kind of like one foot out of TI because of all the drama that happened.
Yeah.
No one knows if they're playing still. I mean, yeah, some people know probably, or like they have a plan. But in reality, like what will happen once they get to Seattle, if they go to Seattle, how things will pan out, no one really knows exactly. So they were unmotivated, or they were kind of like a bit of down. They just were not right mentally. And they come and win versus Vichy Gaming, one Chinese team, which I think coming into TI is the weakest Chinese team. But still, on any given day, it's probably better than any of the other. Like, they can beat anyone. So coming into that, they win convincingly. Then they go to play against EG, which is the big monster, the scary monster that has been like first or second place pretty much in every Western competition outside of Dream League. And they lose pretty badly the first game. And now they go into the second game with everyone pretty much considering them out. And they bring all these plays and all these amazing just like situations out of nowhere, and they cling into this game too. I was like, wow. Really, really fun to watch, and really, really good to see the players from Fnatic there saying, what a relief. We still have it, and we have a chance, and we really want to win this, and we want to win everything.
James?
Alliance Cloud9 Game 2 is, I think, one of the best games I've seen this year. They're fucking... I mean, the one thing people talked a little bit about for both Dream League finals and this was that players were in a holdback strats, and I think we're okay with that. I mean, especially even with the format that we decided to go with, like we didn't create this this tournament to try and find the best player, or excuse me, the best team in the world, statistically or something. I think it's a big mistake that a lot of people make. That we need to come up with there's so many tournaments that do like double limb, 180, 200 games in their season with qualifiers and we're going to try and solve it. And it's like, well, we're going to be right near the biggest event of the year where we really will determine what does that ranking look like. We don't need to solve that problem. And for us too, it's like if you look at Mouse and IG. Like a double elimination bracket there, and with best of three or something, it's like we shouldn't even play those games, right? Like if you want to determine who is better, like have them play a best of 99 and do a quadruple elimination format, and then we know that Mouse will just never win that. So don't even play the game, right? So we set up the format and that to have like an any given Sunday moment where these guys can advance and there is opportunity for success there.
I mean, you say that,
could
James,
be upsets.
And I agree with you that for this specific tournament and given the circumstances, like what you did makes sense. But at the same time, this other format that you're talking about, I think it's kind of what TI is about. And it's like a tournament that someone has to have. If you look at the international, 16 teams round robin into bubble race, into double elimination. I mean, you look at that, and clearly it's not made to be easy to play because there's lots of matches. It's not made to be easy to display as a show because during the group stage, if it's like other years, there's going to be a lot of matches at the same time. I mean, there has to be. And also, it's clearly not for easy to understand for the new player either. So what they want to do here, clearly, is they want to just like, okay, we have these 16 teams. We want the inarguably better or best situation or best format that no one is able to say, oh, this team won because they were lucky. And I think there's a place for those kind of tournaments too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important that TI, does that. But for, say, every other medium to major tournament, I don't think it's as important. Because
This
you know
happens.
what you're
This
really
happens in real sports too, though. I was at I watched the game last week, right? The USA game, and I had to explain how group stages work to other people at the bar. Like this happens in traditional athletics too. I think the TI is that place, right? I think this is where they make the format as comprehensive enough to when you chisel down to that main event, you feel as comfortable as you can with saying these are the best teams there are, right? And I thought ESL, I mean, like single elimination, like best of 3 finals, I thought that was good for this event. And it put on a show, and it was like a relatively condensed show. Game, I think, is one that we all need to talk about. Evil Geniuses, like, it's interesting. The last 3 LAN finals there have had 3 different winners. And it's some different. I mean, like, Evil Geniuses just washed out at DreamHack. They did not perform extremely well. 22-0. That's a pretty. I mean, that's a line in the sand, especially as you creep towards the biggest esports event of all time.
I think coming into when the draft was finished, there were a lot of players still staying there. I mean, I'm sure Paikat, Loda, and quite a few of the other guys from both teams were with us at the panel once they went into the game. And we were all looking at the draft, and it's like, well, this is certainly at least going to be really, really hard for EG. No one predicted 22-0, of course, but that shows you that game was not only about how the lanes played or which heroes were played or who played better, but rather how emotional snowballing actually exists. This is not the first time this happens. I seem to remember an Alliance Quantic at a Dream League, not Dream League, DreamHack Summer last year. Quantic was fucking Matt's team by that time. And it was a very similar situation. One team wins the first game very convincingly, the second team wins the second game convincingly, and coming into game 3, it's just emotional breakdown from a little mistake at the beginning, and it snowballs entirely. And it's a rare occurrence, but it talks about looking in the future. I can say EG might be a little bit underperforming when they're under pressure in these situations, based on what I saw that game.
The picks were interesting. Was that the first time that EG had played Elder Titan the entire tournament?
No.
Okay.
They had played it against. The thing is, I was kind of, I'm not going to enter into discussion of the draft again because it was long, but they did that against an anti-mage, which normally builds like all base armor and no plus armor at all. So a 25 armor anti-mage in late game became a 0 armor anti-mage, which was really easy to kill. And they tried to do the same against a faceless void, and it really didn't work just because it didn't get to the point where it made sense. But all the lanes were really greedy from EG, and they were all hoping to get the lucky kill or get the advantage just based on outplay. And the way IG was playing, there was no way to do that.
Mason was criticized a little bit for falling short, especially in that last game. His farm was not really remarkable on that Sand King. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait until TI. One of the things that I think has been very interesting that I've seen over the last month is Chinese teams really favoring Clauf again, which had been sort of falling out of favor. What do you think about? I mean, in that last game, the Clauf was doing work. Do you think that's going to be something that just sort of trends into TI?
I want to go back to something you were saying before, like when you were targeting Mason. I think it's very easy to target Mason, and it's a little bit unfair because you talk about Universe, and I think Universe is the kind of player that you would not build a team around, but anyone would want in their team.
Yes.
So if you're like, I don't know, it's like that. Yeah, it's that guy that it's the second player that you want reliable on your team. Then Zai and PPD are the 2 best supports in the scene as a combo, period, bar none. You can probably say that FY and Fenrir are also the same. And you have Arteezy, which is a superstar. So the only player that is left up hanging there is Mason, and he has the stigma of being replacing Fear, which is another legend. So when it's time to look for someone to blame, it normally comes down to Mason. And I think it just, the position he has is one that if the team is not doing well, he's naturally not going to be doing well by the numbers. But he's a great player. I still think so.
I think he's a great player, yeah. Okay,
so,
interesting.
Going back to the Queen of Pain thing, it's so hard to say. We definitely will see at TI. We definitely will. The problem with Queen of Pain, the reason it fell out is because the way, about a year ago, when the way laning changed, with the off lane being closer to the tower, and support being able to pull a little bit more. Everyone got a lot more money, so supports got tanky really fast, which meant that the Queen of Pain, which would feed on those support kills just by using her combo, couldn't do it anymore. But now the Queen of Pain is not playing that role of let's go and kill everything all the time, but rather just being kind of a tempo controller by controlling the runes, making sure that the supports that normally rotate freely are a little bit scared of just leaving the carry alone, because then she with someone else can get a kill on the carry. And that's why I think IG played it really well, because they're a tempo controlling team. They're a team that are all about the timings of everything. Put Queen of Pain on Navi right now or Alliance, and I don't know how effective that would be. Not because they're not good Queen of Pain players, but just how they play the game. They play the game.
So we're gonna move on to Fnatic Valve.
Yeah, let's move on to Fnatic Valve. Yeah.
Okay, so
This is
Fnatic blog comes out
Yes.
detailing Era's issues with anxiety, and so here I'm interested on hearing like how you guys felt. So when I first read this, I had to presume they had to be relatively straightforward with this, because I think if you were trying to pull like sort of like a one over on Valve, that had to be pretty dumb. So I just went into the Fnatic blog thinking this had to be the entirety of the story. Community sort of like rallies in Fnatic's favor because, like, you know, this is really unfortunate. Mason subbed for Fear, who had a health issue. It was very sort of confusing, like when which organization started contacting, you know, which person. Next day, Valve just like releases the entirety of the email logs and the script flips. So I just wanted to like, where do you guys fall now? Because this is interesting, and I mean, like it necessarily hasn't even really been resolved. For the
James,
biggest
do you wanna start?
esports tournament of all time.
Yeah, so I mean, it's for me, it was actually kind of funny, and it was a reminder that I shouldn't make judgment until I've heard multiple sides of the story, you know, maybe a few times over. I actually heard about what was going on, I think, maybe 3 or 4 days before, through friends in the industry. And the story I had at the time was that, you know, Fnatic wants to replace Era with Excalibur, and Valve won't let them, and that when Fnatic asked them for a Skype call, Valve just denied them twice. And I started laughing, of course, and I'm like, oh, you know, typical Valve, you know, they're not going to do a phone call, they don't want contact, blah, blah, blah.
Jeez.
But then, you know, then then the story unravels more, and you see the email chain, and it's very clear that, you know, Eric and Valve is, you know, had this exchange of emails, and one with Era, and wants everything on record because of what's going on. And then you go, oh, okay, so that, you know, that's why. But then you hear again from Fnatic that it wasn't, you know, you know, what they were actually trying to do, I don't think was necessarily as nefarious as maybe it was made out. You know, it's sort of a function of the system as a whole, right? Like because of TI's existence, that's all anybody focuses on, and teams operate at a loss for periods of the year with the hope and the assumption that they're going to, you know, have a good placement at TI and it's going to be useful in the year going forward. And if you don't, then you've lost a lot of money. It's some non-zero amount of money or value that you've lost. So it does motivate the teams to do whatever they need to be successful. You know, I can understand Fnatic's thinking with trying to pressure for this, but it's a hard situation, man. I still feel I don't have enough context because I wasn't in those conversations with Era or with Valve to.
Hours after the original Fnatic post, I sort of like met with the Skype crew, the trusted cabinet, right? And I was just like, okay,
the Illuminati.
Fnatic is really trying to lay on the community pressure and push this in, and that's sort of where I left it. And then when Fnatic, or rather when Valve the next day comes in and just like sort of drops the mic, I mean that's a really shitty position to be in. And to make it even more damning, was Karn, like hours later, was like, if you want transparency, we'll give you transparency. Then never fucking posts anything, and then actually deletes that tweet. Like, that's, you know, that's not a hot look.
No.
Okay, so the thing that I think when I see like what happened right here, there's a lot of information. So I was aware of the ERA situation. I think most people like that were close to the teams were kind of in the know of what was going on in a way or another. But I think here you have like 4 players involved, which is ERA on one side, the rest of the team on the other, Fnatic, the organization, and Valve. What you have to think of is how the event played for each of the perspectives, right? So starting with ERA, it's really easy. Like he's a kid, he's playing, he's a really good player. Suddenly, mental health not going so well. I don't know if any of you ever had a mental health issue. Like I had a specific attack of panic attack way younger. Let me tell you, it's not a pretty thing, not because of how you feel at the moment, but because you're scared of what's going to happen next. Like if it's going to come back, if you're going to be okay, if your life is going to change. And sometimes, like I was lucky, it was just like a one-off event, never had anything like that in my life again. But I tell you, for about 6 months, I was really scared. ERA is in the situation where he's like, okay, I'm not doing really well right now. I might be able to play. The doctor says maybe if I take some time off, I can play. No one can give you a definite answer. There's no doctor that can tell you, oh, you will be fine in 15 days. So he really wants to play because it's his dream. That's what he works for. And at the same time, he doesn't want to risk his health and he doesn't want to just like fail the team. Now, on the other side, you have the team that doesn't know what's going in his head. And they're like, well, they see that he's clearly not able to play right now. So they run to the safe thing, which is, okay, if we have to choose, like we have to have a plan B prepared. And we'll train with Excalibur. And they do so for over 2 months. And now it feels like their best chance to do it is with them because ERA doesn't seem to be entirely cured, whatever that exactly means. And again, it's what they work for the rest of the years that they want to play. Fnatic is in the situation that James described perfectly. And Valve, and this is the interesting part, if you read the emails, no one can say with any certainty, because of what I said before, ERA cannot play. They can say he had some issues, there were some problems, he's in recovery, doctor says he's okay, and then ERA also replies saying, I'm actually good to play, I think I'm good to play. So from Valve's perspective, I think what happens is that no one is making a statement like Fierce, which is he cannot play because he's injured, period. And instead it's like, well, we wouldn't rather risk it and just like use a stand-in. And being Valve said, well, at the beginning that doesn't make sense because you cannot change a player just because. And by the time the thing actually unravels, and as you could see in the email chain, it becomes clear that ERA has a problem, like can put himself in danger by playing. It's already too late to actually make any changes. So they're like, well, if you cannot play with all 5, you probably cannot play the tournament. So it's a situation where if you look at every single person or every single side, it makes sense on their own logic and their own like frame of context information, which normally you could say, well, it could have solved if everyone was more open from the beginning as to exactly what was going on. But then again, with Valve, it's always really scary, right? Because they have had like precedent of like kicking out teams because, oh, you change a player, well, you're out, you cannot play. And sometimes they go back, like it was with Revenge, they say, okay, you bring back your own player and then you can play. And sometimes they don't, or like with Hiki United, they decide, well, this is a lineup that you have to play and there's no other lineup but this lineup that you have to use to play the qualifiers. So understandably, everyone was really scared about what Valve was going to do. And by the time everything became clear, it was just a mess already. I think players will have more to say. I think Fnatic players, they want to say something, but they're waiting until after TI because right now anything that can be added to this will be controversy. But no one is really the bad guy here, I think. Not Fnatic, not the players, not Valve, not ERA, of course.
Okay. I mean, it's the biggest esport event of all time. I think everyone's best bet is to play it safe. As safe as possible.
Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap up Dota 2. And Bruno, I don't know if you want to stick around for StarCraft, but it's up to you.
I think I'll take a break here because I have some other stuff to do.
Okay,
but thank you guys for inviting me.
Thanks for popping on. It's the
thank you
first
for
time on
popping on,
Unfiltered.
man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of fun, and we'll hopefully see you guys again soon.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
See you at TI.
TI4.
TI4, yeah.
Yeah. Who's coming?
Me.
I'm going.
And
Cool. See you there then.
yeah,
Very well.
nice. See you there.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
All right, switch on over to our 4-man, and guys want to take a quick break before we do SC2, or you guys want?
Let's
yes,
do it.
please.
Little,
Yes,
Okay,
please.
little
let's take a
respite
quick
would
break.
be nice.
All
Yeah.
right.
I'm ready to go. What do you mean?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
we've been exactly right.
All right, BRB.